Alright, this time I've got a pretty high value folding knife to review. This is the Spyderco Vallotton. It's a fairly expensive knife, at least unless you ask hardcore knife collectors. To them it wouldn't seem like that much. You can find it for $205 US at Knife Center or 250 Canadian dollars at Warriors and Wonders, which is a pretty decent price considering that 205 US dollars would convert to 273 Canadian dollars at the current exchange rate. However, Amazon beats them both. It offers this knife for 174 US dollars. I got this knife through Massdrop, which I'm going to talk about at the end of the video, since that's strictly not what the review is about. The blade is made of CPM S30V stainless steel, which is a premium grade steel developed specifically for knife blades. It has a very fine grain structure, high corrosion and wear resistance, toughness, and sharpenability. Yes, sharpenability is indeed a word. It has a hollow grind with a convex grind towards the tip, which you can see here. And that is a good design choice. It gives you the cutting performance of the hollow grind, but the strength of the convex grind near the tip where it counts. So I suppose if you wanted to, you could pry with this point without risk of damaging it. The spine is very thick, and in fact, the entire knife overall is pretty beefy. If you just see it from the front in the picture, it may be deceiving. I certainly expected something else. I was assuming that it's fairly slim overall, because it has this kind of gentleman's folder look, but it's quite the beast, really. If we compare that to the Manix 2, which is not exactly thin either, the Vallotton is definitely thicker. As you can see, it's a linerlock. And the liner is smooth without any jimping, which I personally prefer. It has the typical Spyderco hole for opening, and also what looks like a thumb stud, even though the main purpose of the stud is to act as a stop. Right here you can see where it fits on top of the bolsters there. Definitely a good design. Very sturdy. As can be expected from Spyderco knives, the fit is rock solid. There's no play in any direction. Some people may dislike how the blade protrudes so much to the side, so it's not exactly low profile. But personally, I like it because it gives you more options. If you just end up holding the knife in an awkward way, you can still open it in various ways. Say, for example, you only get to grab this part here. You can flick it open like that and then grab it, and you can easily get your thumb in there to build up pressure and flick it out like that. It's got some jimping here on the back where the thumb rests comfortably, and you can't even choke up on it like this. This feels pretty comfortable as well if you want to push as you're carving, for example. It's got brushed stainless steel double bolsters, which look very nice. Gives it beautiful contrast with the polished black G10 handle scales. The handle scales look almost a bit like carbon fiber at first glance, but not if you take a closer look. And you can see it's very highly polished, super smooth and reflective, which is a bit of an issue in my opinion. This makes it very slippery. So for EDC use, I consider that to be a drawback. Again, looks very good, but it's not that great. It feels nice enough, even though personally I would prefer if the corners here were beveled. Since it is so smoothly polished, it's not uncomfortable, but it could be more comfortable if this was beveled and then if the handle scales had a bit more traction. So if your hands are wet or slippery in any way, you can't really hold on to this properly. The overall shape helps a little bit, but in general, I'd say it's a little too slippery. The pocket clip is excellent. It has the right kind of stiffness, and they did it right. It's fully ambidextrous and reversible. You can put it in any of 4 positions, and that's exactly how it should be. All knives should be like this, so that you can choose whether you want to carry tip up, tip down, left-handed, right-handed. that's exactly how it needs to be. Personally, I actually like to remove the pocket clip on this one because the grip is already that thick and I don't have particularly large hands, so this just kind of adds to it and makes it less comfortable. So what about the performance? The sharpness out of the box is Spyderco standard, so it's very sharp. It comes shaving sharp from factory. I wish that all knives came like this, because there's plenty of dull blades on the market, unfortunately. But this I have no complaints about. Definitely good sharpness. As far as the overall blade geometry is concerned, I'd say it's a bit more obtuse than it needs to be. It would certainly cut better if the overall angle was just a little more acute, if it wasn't quite that thick. I don't really see the point of the blade being that thick, considering that, well, it is a linerlock folder. What are you going to do with a baton? Not really. It's not exactly for super heavy duty use. I'd understand if it was a lockback folder, because that would be strong enough to abuse to an extent, and certainly if it was a fixed blade knife. But the way it is, I just don't really see the necessity for such a thick blade. It just adds extra weight, and well, it could cut better if it was a little thinner. I definitely noticed there is a little resistance when cutting into tougher materials. I mean, it's not a big deal. It's perfectly usable, no doubt, but it's something that could be improved, in my opinion, for this particular design here. I'd say this knife is excellent in terms of build quality, very high quality materials, and the fit and finish are, well, flawless. As good as it can get for a production knife, I'd say. Like the transition between the bolster and the handle scales is extremely smooth. Only on one side can you tell. Definitely very well put together, super tight. In fact, I think it's overbuilt. It's really not necessary for a linerlock folder like this to be that thick and that tough and strong and everything. So I'm a little confused as to what this knife is supposed to be or do. For everyday carry, it's a little large and heavy, and it's too smooth, in my opinion. For light cutting, that's fine, but then again, for light cutting, do you really need a knife of this size? Personally, I do generally prefer to have a large blade like that because it just gives you more options. You get a longer slicing draw, which is nice. It would be quite suitable as a self-defense knife, again, if it wasn't so slippery. This, of course, you couldn't rely on if you were attacked and had to defend yourself, because this might just slip out of your hand and it would need more of a guard. Otherwise, it would definitely be suitable for that, because it's sufficient blade length, and it would be quite good for stabbing if you didn't have to worry about slipping down onto the blade. And accessibility, the versatility of having various ways of opening it, and various grip styles you could use with this. But again, that doesn't really seem to be what it's designed for. So it's really more of a collector's knife, in my opinion. You can use it for EDC, but I'd say there are better options, knives that are more specifically designed with EDC in mind. It's quite strange when I sound somewhat negative while talking about the function of this knife, because I very much like it. I appreciate the quality, overall build quality. I very much like how it looks. I just wish it was thinner, as I said, but otherwise this is very, aesthetically up my alley. And it's quite a fine knife. Gentleman's knife definitely comes to mind when looking at this. You definitely get remarkable quality for what you pay. I'm just not sure how much you'll end up using it, considering that it seems a bit of a hybrid in terms of design. So would I recommend it? As a collector's knife, yes, absolutely. As an everyday carry knife, maybe, if you keep the limitations in mind. For self-defense or heavy cutting tasks, like in camping, for instance, no. Unless you modify the handle and give it more of a texture, maybe, or put grip tape on it, although that would ruin the look. So that about sums it up. And I also wanted to talk about Massdrop, as I mentioned in the beginning. So it's an online community for enthusiasts of various gadgets, tools, and hobbies. And there is an everyday carry category for knives, flashlights, lighters, etc. And on there, people can discuss products, vote on them, and get together to purchase stuff as a group in order to get discounts. So I definitely like the concept. Not only do you get discounts, but also if there's anything wrong with the price or the quality, you can be sure people will bitch about it in the comments. Of course, I mean mainly constructive feedback, hopefully. And then you can get an idea of what it's like before you buy it. So yeah, check it out if you like it. I'll leave a link down below together with the specifications for the knife and where you can buy it. And that's it. I hope you found the review helpful. And as always, thanks for watching.